Hey, Chad. I don't think I have my volume. Nope, it must be your volume. Are you muted? There we go.
Yeah, it was. I was trying to multitask here, and I don't do very well.
That's good though. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
It rarely happens with me, though I like to tell myself I'm good at multitasking, but I'm the only person that believes that.
Well, my wife tells me she's like, "You're a guy. You're not good at multitasking." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
Oh, wait a minute. What's this Purdue sweatshirt thing here?
Oh, I'm a Purdue grad.
Not
One degree
not
from
most
there,
recently.
3 degrees from Ball State, one
Oh.
from Purdue's.
I had a student tell me the other day, or they told somebody, it wasn't me, that they checked out the Purdue program and they realized that
Joe.
all the professors there graduated from Ball State, and they said, "Why don't I just go to Ball State and get it straight from them?" I thought that was interesting.
Because what they do is they find all the ways to cut corners and get you done in 2.5, 3 years. And
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing that I'll always say was, it's a long process, but I also don't feel like I was shortchanged at all.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna do it for the right reasons, do it the right
Right.
way.
Well, you did it for the right reasons, and your dissertation is one that you can definitely be proud of.
Try to. It's it's been read by a lot of people at Department of Homeland Security now.
Yeah, who will hire anybody?
Well, that's who I work for now.
I thought you worked for the state.
I do. So they moved us from the Department of Education to Department of Homeland. Well, we're housed within the Homeland Department of Homeland Security.
Got it.
It's the Office of School Safety.
Wow,
So we started a whole brand new office. They got rid of the old director, hired a new one, and
that's
so
interesting.
yeah.
And what did they give a reason?
It was Braun's initiative.
What does that mean?
So he wanted to start the Office of School Safety to have more continuity between school safety, state police, Department of Homeland Security. He thought none of us were talking when we were.
Yeah, he has a lot of ideas. Hi, Jennifer and Amy.
Hello. Hi there.
I have no idea how many people we're going to have today. Um, so this could be really fun. I see Tammy sneaking in the door there. Good afternoon, Tammy.
Hello, everybody.
Is it afternoon in your part of the world? I know you're
It
on a
is.
different
It's
time
1 minute
zone.
till 3 o'clock.
Okay. Now Stephen's the one that's farthest out, all the way out in the beautiful state of Maine. Now, Stephen, you haven't been there for a winter yet, have you?
No, I was here for one winter so far.
Oh, okay. Did you notice anything different about the people of Maine comparing to, well, I don't know how New York City is. Indiana, when it gets cold, everybody goes inside and stays inside, and they don't come back out till it's spring. Some of my neighbors I don't see for months, but in Maine, it seems like everybody's always, and here comes Erica, she can verify this if I'm right or not. Um, I understand people are out like all winter long, like crazy people.
I
I
run
don't get
every
that.
morning with cleats on in the snow and ice.
Oh my word. That's insane.
I do not run every morning with cleats on. I'm the opposite when it comes to winter. Yes, Maine people love to be outside all of the time. Rather be warm inside.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that, but I do have to admit that the only time I've been to Maine, I found it extremely beautiful, and I have never heard anybody say that about Indiana. Rachel thinks it is, but you know,
I like
she's never
summers
been
in
anywhere
Indiana.
except all over the world.
I don't like winter anywhere. I just want to fly and see snow and leave.
Yeah. Uh, the older I get, the more I believe that I just do not like winter. So, at any rate, well, it is slightly after 4 o'clock, and we're going to go ahead and get started because we don't want to waste the time of those of you who came on time. So that's good. Today let me make sure we're recording here. Yes, we are. This session is the first of our mentoring sessions for the year. And today we're talking about writing, that thing that everybody loves to think about and hear other people talk about and then feel guilty because you're not doing as much or as quickly or as often as some other people are. So today we're going to talk about some really practical things. And we have with us Dr. Amy Korus. She can wait for you there. And Dr. Chad Cruz, both recent graduates of our program. And we are thrilled to have them here with us today because they have what is called the most important kind of dissertation, a finished dissertation. And so I'm going to keep that thought firmly in front of you all day today as you start into this process. But we're going to be talking about what can you do for yourself when you reach that point that every single person, I think, who's ever written a dissertation reaches. And that's either writer's block or not enough time, or you get bored with your topic, or you think, why did I not pick something else? And probably the most important thing that I've ever been told in regard to dissertation is what my advisor told me back 100 years ago when I was finishing mine. And he said, Mike, you have to get over the idea that you're going to change the world with your dissertation. And I thought, man, that's awful because that's exactly what I wanted to do. And he said, this is a step that you are taking to prove to the world that you have what it takes to be listened to. And I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting. And he said, I want you to finish this thing. Now, he had to say that because I had gotten angry. I know you guys would never believe that about me. But I had gotten angry at a professor in the program who, in fact, not only is no longer in the program, is no longer on this earth. I don't think. Because I hated the class that I was in, and it made me so angry, I decided I was going to set up an appointment with the dean. And I did. And I told the dean how awful this class was. What I didn't realize was that this particular professor was very, very close to the dean. I don't know how close, but I just know very, very close. And so the dean went right to this professor and told the professor exactly what I had said. So my grade, which had been an A up until that point, suddenly dropped to the lowest that they would allow me to still pass with for the course and not have to retake it. And I learned a very valuable lesson. You're going to have those professors and you just tough it out, but you do let somebody know about it. And I've never regretted saying to somebody, this course is worthless. And we don't even offer it in the program anymore. The course was public relations, and it really was a wasted class. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about writing. And so what we're going to do is first Um, let's very quickly have you introduce yourselves, and Amy and Chad will have you wait till the end. Just tell us your name and where you're at, and if you have started the writing process yet. No matter how much or how little, if you started it. And Jennifer, we'll start with you.
Sure. Okay. And I'm sorry if I'm dinging. I've got my phone right next to the dinger. So if my Outlook comes through dinging, just you can sing along. My name's Jennifer Colhan, and I am in the MST of Pike Township. I'm not sure if you want us to share where we are,
Oh,
but
yes.
which is on the northwest corner of Indianapolis, kind of right under Zionsville, next to Brownsburg. And I serve as the Director of Exceptional Learners, aka Special Ed. And I have done I'd done all of my work through Ball State for my master's program and my director's program for special ed, and was kind of deciding between the special ed PhD and ed leadership, and I decided to go ed leadership. And then Doc confirmed that when I had a meeting with him, was still going back and forth between the two, so that was good. And I have started writing. I'm trying to. There was a text that was shared in the ID 705 class that I'm in now, about writing your dissertation in 15 minutes a day. And although it's not 15 minutes a day, at first it caught my eye. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's kind of all about like staying on top of like just continuing to write, even if it's
Absolutely.
journal
That's right.
and all of those like questions you might have. So I'm kind of constantly trying to have those questions and bringing them back, and then continuing to write within that. So I will say this, it was kind of interesting. The class that I took, I don't know if you want to know all this, but it's just kind of an interesting tidbit of information. I'd taken the lit review class, and I kind of did all this writing and all this writing, all this writing. And then I realized that so much of what I was doing was really for chapter 1 and not necessarily chapter 2. And so I kind of had to pivot. And I didn't get as much in chapter 2 as I had hoped that I would have, but I have really a pretty good foundation for chapter 1, which is kind of a nice thing.
Good.
That I've got a good start. So
Absolutely. All right, Tammy.
So I am Tammy Doherty, and I am Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment for Tri Creek Schools, which is the southern part of Lake County up in Northwest Indiana. I am new to the administration field. Last year I was a high school principal, and this year I got bumped up to director. So that all happened in a whirlwind. I had started the program 3 years ago in cohort 14, and I was an instructional coach at that time. So I was finding plenty of time to do my writing. I feel really confident with chapter 2 that I have, chapter 1 that I have, and then I started getting into chapter 3, and I was looking at doing a quantitative study. So I actually did an advanced applied regression class, which I still can't believe I pulled that off the first semester as being a high school principal. But then I realized, the more you know, sometimes the less you know. And so I realized I really can't speak to the quantitative as much as I guess I had hoped to go in depth for chapter 4. So I kind of started to pivot away from the quantitative and started looking at case study instead. So I do have a case study in mind, and I do have a group of people in mind that are working in my high school. I work with them up close. That's one of the reasons to choose the case study, because I can be a participant involved in that. The shift is slightly different now. I'm focusing on how, before it was going to be looking at how the online version of the SAT and I wanted to look at communities and how they seem to affect the online version. But like I said, so I changed that. So I shifted more to looking at how does a professional learning community, I'm looking at how does that shift the attitudes and the collective efficacy of a rural team of teachers, and what their attitudes are towards the SATs. I'm still kind of keeping in because I did a lot of research on the SAT. When you talked about Dr. Schaefer about all the reasons why people hit this slump, I hit everything you said on there. I'm sick of my topic. I hate it already, but I don't also want to dump 100 hours of work that I've done. So
Exactly.
I've
That's
got
right.
2 new jobs in within 365 days. So time is kind of crazy right now. I'm still motivated by the topic and doing the topic, but it really is now trying to find a way of fitting everything in there. So
Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to when your email came out and said, are you in a slump? I'm like, that is a calling card for me. So I'm
All
hoping
right.
that today will help
Wonderful.
me kind of overcome some of that.
All right, Stephen.
Hi, I'm Stephen. I currently live in Maine. I'm an assistant professor at St. Joseph's College. I work in undergrad teacher prep, specifically special ed teachers. When it comes to my dissertation, I told myself today, and this is honest, if I come to this meeting, I don't have to do the work that I'm supposed to be doing, which is
Okay, that's
truthfully the
not right.
reality. I went into this summer feeling really great about chapters 1 to 3. My grand plan for a case study did not pan out. I looked at over like 200 schools. I got one response that was negative. So I pivoted chapter 3 in the last couple of weeks. So now as I go into data collection, would love for tips and tricks on staying motivated, because I'm at the point where I have told myself the dissertation is an assignment. It's like a means to an end, but I need still motivation to get it done, because I can see like graduation at the end of the road. But I know the road is very long between now and there, and it's not just the dissertation. Like, it's a huge project that I love the topic. Like, I'm so motivated by that. It's just actually sitting down to do it is where I'm hitting a wall.
Outstanding. Erica.
Hi, everybody. So Erica Mazzeo, I am assistant superintendent in RSU 5, which is Durham, Freeport, and Pownell in Mid-Coast, Maine. Well, not quite Mid-Coast or whatever. Anyway, it's on the coast. And it's the home of LL Bean, in case anybody's passing through. So dissertation, I'm new to this role. My role got riffed last year. It was rugged, so I am living very much the like 80 to 90 hour work week situation, and I'm just super like I'm disappointed, best laid plans, right? Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna settle into year 3 in my last job that I was in, and like here I'm gonna move into writing and I'll have like stuff under control a little bit, and like no, everything got upended and I'm back to 90 hours a week trying to like keep the wheels on the bus, and it's like stuff, as you all know, is crazy right now. It's impacting I've decided, even though I wrote my plan for class already, I am like so disinterested in studying what's happening in the United States right now. Like I just am so disillusioned with the state of affairs. Like so I want to look at a data set that's beginning outside of the United States at this point, and just my emphasis is looking for indicators that are key, like evidence for like kind of like social equity and accessing further opportunity, whether it is economic, I haven't decided, or like continuing education or education outcomes, not entirely clear. But the part that I like, other than time, which is like killing me right now, I'm missing like any kind of teamwork element of this. Like I I did an individual sport, but I was a team player, like I love working with other people, and like I feel like I need more frequent feedback so that I don't go too far down rabbit holes that like are ultimately irrelevant, and perhaps somebody who doesn't have their nose down in it all the time could like see that earlier. So yeah, I'm missing, I feel like I'm missing, it's not, I feel enthusiastic, I'm willing to be sleep deprived, like all of those things, but like I'm not engaged in dialogue with anybody about this, and that feels isolating and limiting.
Absolutely. And we will move to Carly. Do you want to say anything? I think you must be driving or something. Oh, there she is. Hi, Carly.
Sorry, no, I'm here. I'm in my kitchen. Hi, I'm Carly Zielinski. I'm in New Jersey. I am a middle school social studies teacher. And I've taken on, similar to some of you speaking, I've taken on a couple roles. I'm not an administrator. I actually had the opportunity to become an administrator, but I turned it down just because I was coming off of maternity leave and I was in the middle of my dissertation process, and I felt like I'm not sure I can do it all. And funny enough, when some of you mentioned, like when the email came out about the slump, I'm definitely in a slump right now. I finished chapters 1 through 3. I got all of my research done on chapter 4. I did all my data, collected all my data. The IRB process took a lot longer than I thought. It took me a while to get in touch with my superintendent. He was actually leaving, so he didn't really feel comfortable giving me total access because I'm dealing with middle school students, which I also found very difficult. And in that, I run part of the mentoring program, so that's part of my dissertation. So I'm passionate about my dissertation. I don't necessarily have a writer's block. I procrastinate. Like somebody else I forgot had mentioned, like today when I saw the meeting, I was like, oh, if I join the meeting, maybe if I do like 30 minutes of work before I join, that counts. Like, and I'm motivated to finish. I can kind of see that the end in sight. I'm expecting my second child in this world and madness that I've put myself in. I don't know. So I'm hoping while I'm home, my husband's very supportive that I can also get more work done. It's just, again, the time and getting myself out of that slump.
I think the slump is a good thing. I'm not sure, this is the time you're going to get more done. But
Well, I remind myself that I had my son when I was in my lit review class. And he came early and it kind of gave me that motivation to finish.
outstanding. Hey, whatever works, that's the big
So
thing.
I just find that that's the motivation. Like I can do it. Like if I can do that, I can do this and I can continue. And I have a little bit less at work. They gave me a lot last year. So I also felt while I was collecting my data, I had a lot of other responsibilities put on me. My principal turned to me to do a lot because we had a lot of new staff and I just was running out, like I'd come home exhausted. So I'm hoping this year I don't have as many responsibilities too. So.
Outstanding. Chris Walker.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Walker, retired Indiana educator after 30 years, 21 in administration. I started as a Ball State student in 1990, and I'm still a Ball State student. So
Just
I
has never quit.
I have just never quit. So I started my dissertation about a year and a half ago. I feel like I'm still staying within my schedule, but I could be much more ambitious. And I wish I was much more ambitious. I've finished my chapter 1 through 3 draft. I've met with my committee in May, and then I decided that I just want to make it a qualitative study versus mixed method. So I spent June through August updating all my research and rewriting it to meet that criteria. My challenges right now is just staying on schedule. Like I said, I'm not too far off, but I could be much more aggressive. I found challenging my committee, all great educational leaders, but their input is very different and diverse, and trying to meet all of their suggestions has been a real challenge. And it's what I've spent most of my summer doing, is tackling all the avenues that they wanted me to consider. But I have found that I feel like my dissertation is my first 3 chapters is much stronger with their input, even though it was more challenging. And really just making sure I've covered all my bases moving forward, and staying on
Good.
schedule, again, would be my biggest challenges.
Okay. And June, anything you want to share? I'm not seeing. Are you? You are still muted, so. Okay, does that mean you're not sharing? Okay, we're good. All right, I am very happy to turn the mic over to Amy Korus first.
Good.
Dr. Amy Korus, that sounds great to say that. Um, I had the privilege of serving as Amy's professor in a couple classes, like all of you, and she is currently the superintendent at Whitco, which Whitco is not a real word in case anybody wondered. Uh, it's part of Whitley and County, I suppose. I don't know. No, what is it?
Kosciuszko.
Kosciuszko.
We
Okay.
sit in two counties, so they took
Gotcha.
both of them, and merged them in 1979.
All right. All right,
Yeah.
Amy. So you finished this thing. How did you do it?
Well, it wasn't easy, but I will tell you, I made a list of my top 5 things that will help get you through. Number 1, give yourself, and that one's not even on here, give yourself some grace. It is a hard, long process. And if you think you're going to get through it without tears and just angst, that's not going to happen. It's meant to be a hard process. It's why a lot of people never finish. But I will
That's
tell
true.
you, if you don't finish, you will regret it. I hear a lot of times people say, "Oh, I only had one more chapter." And I think, "Oh my gosh, why didn't you finish?" Yes, there is a time limit, but it's very long. So even if you have to drag it out, but never quit. Um, I'm just going to start at the top of my list. One of the things I did that helped me was I didn't write everything from beginning to end super neatly. So I created a Google document, and if my project was on dual language classrooms, and if one day I felt like writing about, and it was parent involvement, Spanish speaking students. So if I felt like writing on one topic for the day, that's what I wrote on. And I would just stick it in a Google document. And then later, when you're aligning it and trying to make it flow, you have all this work that you can just pull from, so that like chapter 4, it could be 30 pages. And there's sometimes I would work on page 2, and sometimes I would work on page 38 or whatever. So it doesn't all have to be neat and pretty at the beginning. Just keep writing, because there's going to be a day when you use all of that information. And it's really hard to keep going and going and going. So the other thing I had to do was bribe myself. So I would say, "Oh, I'm going to write for 45 minutes, and then I'm going to give myself a 15-minute TikTok break, or I'm going to let myself eat a donut during that break." And anything that I could do to motivate myself for that day is what I did. Sometimes it was red wine, sometimes it was running to Target for a trip. But you have to realize, if it was summer, then, oh, I got to go out and sit by the pool for an hour. You have to find what works for you. For me, it was on Saturdays, I would get up, make my coffee, and I would write for like 8 hours. I was just able to do that. I know I don't, at the time my kids were in high school, so I didn't have little kids around, but just knowing that Saturday was my day, my whole family knew, you would find me wherever. And I didn't always write in the same spot. Sometimes I would lie in bed because my back would hurt, and I would keep writing. Sometimes I would sit in the sunroom. Sometimes I would sit in my office at home. But wherever it felt comfortable to work, that's where I worked. I let myself have whatever I wanted to eat or drink or wear. Like, you have to play these mind games with yourself to just keep going. And if you get to like, I think Carly said you did your chapters 1 or 3 are done. Oh, you're like 70% there. Chapter 4 is tricky, but 5 is a breeze. You're just wrapping it
Oh,
up. You're
yes,
basically repeating
absolutely.
chapter 1. Um, Dr. English, who was an amazing professor who has since retired, and hilarious, by the way.
Actually, he didn't retire. He
Oh,
just
he
took
didn't.
another job. He's still
He's
working.
crazy. I
He's
loved him.
86 years old and still working.
And at that age, you could say what you want and nobody cares. So he would.
You know what? I'm at that age right now. I'm 66. I
Hard.
can retire anytime. So I don't care what the hell anybody said. I can say whatever I want.
he would
Sorry.
always say, tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them, and then repeat and tell them what you already told them. And
Yeah.
that's basically what you do, especially once you get to chapter 5. So 4 is tricky just because it's very technical, but 1 and 3, you're done. Like, finish that thing, put a pin in it. So, so the move around. Another thing I did that helped me was set unrealistic expectations. So my dissertation chair was Dr. Salome. And I would say, okay, I'm going to have the next 10 pages done and I will meet you next week. And she would say, that's a really tight deadline. I said, I know, I'll get it done. And I had to do that to force myself to get it done. And over the year, I only missed one deadline that whole time because I didn't want to disappoint her. I knew like her time's valuable. If she's scheduling a meeting with me, I'm not going to waste her time. So I would be up the night before trying to hammer it out. And it sucked, but it worked. And then another thing is, so figure out what is your external motivation. For me, I visualized, I don't know if you know this, but when you graduate at Ball State, you walk up these stairs, across the platform, and then down these stairs. I visualized that in my head 100 times. So I would be on the treadmill, I would be in a meeting. I visualized what I was wearing, how I would react, what my name would sound like. There was no way I was going to quit once I got that in my head. So you have to find what is your thing that's going to make you not quit. And my daughter graduated from Ball State just last year. And I knew I had to beat her to graduation because I didn't want her to share graduation. I didn't want her to have to share it with me. So that was a big thing. Like, you've got to get through first. I'm trying to think. And don't think that you're going to go through it without hiccups. So I made 3 really good friends when I was there. One of them, Gigi, her house was completely eliminated by hurricane. Is it Ian or Ike, whatever? Completely lost her house. And then Melissa, her house burned in a house fire. So there were 2 people that had catastrophic events and just kept going. So yes, it sucks. Yes, you're going to have events and major things will happen, but don't give up. Just keep going. Think, I just have to write 15 minutes today. And you will get there. You just have to figure out what's going to keep me going. And I still do that today. I mean, I work a lot of hours. I'm on the treadmill a lot. What's your motivation to keep you going? So you have to find that. And if all of you are on the same group or cohort, you need to be exchanging cell phones and checking in every week. Hey, how's it going? What did you write this week? Everybody's going to write 10 pages on Saturday. And then you text, who's writing? We're writing. Why aren't you guys at your desk? And we used to do that, and we would bully each other. Oh, so-and-so's not, she's out shopping. She's not writing. So anything you can do just to get it done.
That's great.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, Chad, your turn.
Well, obviously, being a guy, it's completely different than what Amy has expressed. All of the great detailed outlines and stuff. You're not going to get any of that from me. This process was probably the longest and hardest thing, well, second hardest thing in my life right now. I had these grand ideas let me start real quick. Sorry, I work for the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, the Office of School Safety. So we used to be at the Department of Education. Governor Brown moved us over into our own office. So that's what I do. So school safety is what I live, eat, breathe. I'm a retired law enforcement officer. I was a school resource officer. I was a school principal, all those things at once. So keeping schools safe was my motivation. So that's why I wanted to write about. I wanted to do a national study about the traumatic effects of on families that have been through school violence and school administrators. Well, that got shot down pretty quickly. Trying to do
That's an interesting choice of words there, Chad.
Well,
It got shot down.
Yeah, I don't pull any punches. But I had a talk with Dr. Schaefer, and And I can still remember this. I was sitting at my kitchen table, and he had a backdrop of, I think it was a bay. It was a bay in, I forget.
I have no clue.
You had a bay, and you were like, look, your bay is, or what you're trying to write about is this big bay back here, and that tiny little ship is that you see. That's what you need to be focusing on. So, realizing that you're not going to change the world with your writing. What Dr. Schaefer said, the best dissertation is a finished one. They tell you that as soon as you defend. My writing styles, they were all over the place. So if you aren't if you don't hold yourself to standards that are realistic, you're going to struggle. Trust me, I did. I tried to go into work at 4 o'clock in the morning so that I could have a nice quiet place, be able to write. That worked for me for a little while until summer vacation. Then I took a summer break off. And then you'll find out in the writing process that as soon as you stop, it's 10 times harder to get started back up. So once you start writing, please do not stop writing. You forget what you wrote. And then I will say that one of the hardest things for me to accept that Dr. Lowry, my dissertation chair, said was get an editor. I felt like that was cheating, but come to find out, everybody does it. Get an editor. You will spend a little bit of extra money, but it will save you so much time in the long run. So just having another set of eyes, because like my wife's got her PhD, she could not read my writing one more time. So having somebody else do that, because you're going to find out that you're going to repeat yourself. And maybe it's a guy thing, I don't know, or maybe it's just a me thing, but I would say the same thing over and over and over again. So it was nice to have somebody else be able to look at it and say, hey, this is repetitive. Let's find a different way to say this. Let's put this in a different section. Let's move that around. They're really not that expensive. I think I was paying like $30 an hour. So I think I had like $400 or $500 total on my dissertation. When you're paying $35,000 on a degree, it's a drop in the bucket. So that's a big piece. And then for like Carly, my big kick in the pants was when I found out that in November that I was going to have a daughter born in July. So my plan of graduating in July had to get moved back to graduating in May so that I wasn't deciding if I was going to walk or be at the hospital. So you have to find what's pushing you. And that sure gave me a kick in the pants. And this whole process, I know it's frustrating right now. Trust me, Amy, Dr. Schaefer, Dr. Gisa, you can all echo this. It is something that you will carry through the rest of your life and will make you a stronger person. I will flat out tell you that. When you're in the midst of it, you are in the suck. It does get better. And once you get this done, Dr. Schaefer can tell you, I cried the first time that they called me Dr. Cruz. I'm a first generation college student. And I got told by by high school professors and teachers, you might as well never go to college. You'll never amount to anything. All those great things. So for me, that was my reason to just keep doing it. So yeah, I have a doctorate. I still tell people, call me Chad. It's not like this thing you wear on your head that says, call me doctor. But I will tell you, it does give you clout when you're talking to a whole bunch of people. I know I heard somebody say they're in Lake County. I'll be in Lake County tomorrow. Somebody said they're at Pike. I'll be at Pike on Wednesday. So I travel the whole state, get to talk to a lot of people. It does give you a lot of clout, but I don't have any really good time saving things, just kind of motivational things that this will, you survive this, you will survive anything else. And you sometimes just have to suck it up. Just
That's
like if you got kids, like Carly, I know you said, and some of you guys other, I'm experiencing this now. Those sleepless hours, just replicate those as dissertation, and just instead of getting, like, oh hey, I'm happy with getting 4 hours of sleep, be happy with getting 3 hours of sleep and get the extra hour in. So sorry I hijacked that.
That's good. I think one of the great things about doing a dissertation is that you will always have these stories. And people will ask you a lot. How did you do it? How did you do it when you had kids? How did you do it when you were starting a new job? How did you do it when it felt like the world was crumbling around you? There are all kinds of hows. And sometimes you just power through. That's it. Because one of the advantages I think of being old, I like to say older. I don't like to admit I'm old, but I am. My wife likes to remind me that all the time. Uh, One of the advantages that you see the cyclical nature of things in our country. And when you look at those things, sometimes you can get overwhelmed with it and you think, all right, I don't know what to do about this. I don't know how to feel about this. All right, so what? Right now you have one focus, and that's what you need to have. Very clear focus on this is what I'm doing. Now I put in the chat, if you saw it, top 10 ways to resurrect your zombie dissertation, or how to stop pretending that reorganizing your bookmarks counts as research. All right, these are some of the things you guys have talked about, and I love this. I think it's really good. But the first one is probably the one that I use the most. Set the timer for 15 minutes and write literally anything. Anytime you have writer's block, the very best thing you can do is write. That's it. It's very simple. Sit down and force yourself to write. It can be gibberish. It can be stupid. It may be something to completely erase and get rid of. But write. That's the primary thing. And then Amy talked about this second one. Bribe yourself with ridiculous rewards. All right. Well, do that. What does it take to get you motivated? We all are motivated by different things. So whatever it is, bribe yourself, write it down, tell somebody else. 3, find your writing uniform. Now, I did not have a writing uniform because it didn't matter. But if that's what works for you, I will say if it's lucky socks, please wash them in between times. I can't even imagine what that would be like. Keep the same pair of socks all the way through. Look at the number 6 is good. Find an accountability buddy who's scarier than your advisor. If you're looking for somebody like that, I would be happy to fill that role because I will not ever be your dissertation chair. All right? Because that's one of the privileges of being non-tenure line. I don't have to chair dissertations. So I don't, but I serve on committees sometimes. And if you need somebody who is going to scare the shit out of you every once in a while, I'll do that. I really don't have a problem doing that at all. Doesn't bother me. I'm not worried that anybody's going to tell on me. Who are you going to tell? The rest of the world is as crazy as I am. So, or some cases worse. Number 10, we've already talked about. Remember that done is better than perfect. Here's the thing. You guys you're in the middle, as Chad said, in the suck, which is a great military term. When everything around you just feels like I can't face this anymore, I'm stuck, I'm bored, I can't write my research, nobody's answering. I know all those things happen. It's part of the job. So suck it up and do this thing. When you finish with this EdD, you will be part of a very, very small select group in the United States. 2% of the country have doctorates. 2%. All right, that's kind of cool. Out of that 2%, 1.2% are PhDs and researchers, most primarily researchers. Researchers like in laboratories and researchers for universities and all that stuff. 0.8% are the practical doctorates, the practitioners' doctorates. So 0.8% of the country has a degree like yours. That's a very select group. Do you know who else is in it? Medical doctors. They're part of that same group. So you will be part. I don't care what anybody says. You know, people said about Jill Biden, well, she didn't have a real doctorate. Yes, she did. She had a real doctorate. Trust me, she had to work at it just like you did and like you are. So look at yourself in the mirror. This is tough sometimes. And say, you're going to finish this thing. And you're going to finish it because it's who you are. And then sit down and start writing. If you have to force yourself to, like right now, I would have a really hard time in my current office here at home writing a dissertation because I had this humongous screen. It's like 49-inch computer monitor. And so I can run like 100 things at once going on this. Plus I have another screen over here where I put things that I'm going to work on sometime. I have too many choices, too many things that I can get involved in, and way too much ADD. So if it helps you, take your laptop, go somewhere where you've got that one screen, and that's all you're doing. Whatever it takes. And then keep saying to yourself, 10 years from now, I can look back on this, and I'm going to have one of two things to say. Either I gave up because I didn't think I could finish it, or I finished it and I hardly even remember what it felt like now. I know, and that's a wonderful thought, isn't it? It's been 21 years since I graduated with my doctorate, walked across the stage in July at Ball State. And I really don't remember it. I don't know who the speaker was. I have no idea if anybody else that I took classes with graduated at the same time that I did. I don't know. I don't remember any of that stuff. All I know is I finished it. That's all that matters. Now, here's the best part, and with this, I will stop, except for to allow you to ask questions. We worry so much about we want to change the world with our dissertation, but that's not the whole purpose. The purpose is to give you the tools so that you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. It's about giving you the tools. So your processes of learning to research, learning how to do a review of literature, learning how to organize data, all of those things are valuable processes that you will use at some point in time. But the best part is knowing it was part of this unified whole that you call getting your doctorate, and you finished it. And now you can go out and do whatever you want to do. And that's kind of cool. All right, Rachel, I see you have come back in. Anything you want to add?
I've been here the whole time listening.
I figured you were.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that it's been wonderful hearing where all of you are in your journey. And I like Dr. Schaefer do not chair committees, but I sit on committees and I love to research and I love thinking through like the research design process.
Right,
So
she's not
I'm
lying about that at all either. She's crazy on research.
So I'm happy to meet with you and talk with any of you about this process. I'm also very passionate about mentoring because I did go through this program as an online student, but I was living in Seoul, South Korea, and Japan the entire time. And so I did literally feel like I was on an island alone when I was in Japan working through this process. So if there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. One thing that I did that really helped me was I made a timeline for myself. Like Amy mentioned, she had like given Serena Salome dates of what she planned to do and when. I did that for Serena. She was my chair as well. But I also did it for like a friend, a coworker, and a family member. So I had like my team who loved me unconditionally anyways. I had my family supporting me and my friends too. But I had people who would check in on me to see how things are going. And I think I've heard the word grace a few times. Give yourself grace as you go through this process. I'm switched positions and moved to a different country during my dissertation journey. My grandfather passed away, who I was very close to. I had to move home for a little bit. So lots of things happen throughout this journey, and just give yourself grace, but also know what the end goal is. And to me, it was thinking about walking across that stage. And like many of you have said, so just knowing it's done and knowing that you have the opportunities available to you once you are done with the doctorate is a wonderful feeling. It means something.
It does. And it will mean something for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's
something no one can take away from you.
That's right. Anyone have questions you'd like to?
Not for what, 7 years, you're up for debate for 7 years, they can take your doctorate away. Challenges, yeah, so 7 years.
Here's what I'll tell you about that 7 years, and I probably shouldn't, but there are exceptions to every rule. And I won't go into any more detail than to say that, because I don't want you to take more than 7 years. But if something comes up, and we'll do our best to keep you in the game. And Dr. Salome is excellent about that as our department chair. She is very, very good. So I'll share that thought with you.
I have a question for
Go ahead.
Chad. Chad, I'm just curious how you show up to a Ball State meeting wearing a Purdue shirt.
I asked him that.
I got that from Dr. Schaefer. You know, when your team goes 1-8 last year, and now you're 2-0 for the first time since 1916. I did my undergrad at Purdue, so
and we still let you take your doctorate at Ball State.
Yeah, it's sad. I got 1 degree from Purdue, 3 degrees from Ball State, and
Yeah.
I still wear Purdue. So, yeah.
Yeah. You know, as sad as it may sound, that's really not as bad as the university where I got my first degree. Kentucky Mountain Bible College. I know that's difficult for anybody to believe about me who knows me very well, but
Where's the
that's true.
shirt?
Who would have thought? Yeah. But anyway, let me show you one more little trick. This is not a tombstone, though it does kind of look like one. This is just a nameplate for your desk. I had a friend who was a dentist, and his last name was spelled the exact same way as mine. And so he had this old, ugly, brown, looks like the walnut background nameplate that said Dr. Schaefer. And he knew that I was getting ready to start on my doctorate. And he said, I want you to take this, and I want you to keep it, and I want you to put it on your desk so that it reminds you the goal that you're going after. And I did. I kept it right, facing me for the however many years it took to go through that. And then I sent it back to him. And I said, thanks. You will never know how much it meant. So that's one of those things. If you need a visual reminder of what you're going after, if you can't get anybody else to give you one, buy one for yourself. You don't have to tell anybody, but put it in front of you, remind yourself what you're doing. Any other questions or comments or thoughts? All right.
Dr.
Go ahead.
Schaefer.
Yeah, Tyrone, go
Um,
ahead.
Hey, I missed the introduction. It's Tyrone Botley. I'm literally just starting the process. You guys are at the top of the mountain. I'm still at the bottom right now, just tying my shoes up. But it was great to just hear about just how you go about that process when you're in it. Speaking from my position as just starting the doctorate program, what are some things that I can do so that, not to say to make it easier, but to be more proactive as far as my research, as far as writing, and as far as my topic will be my question. Anyone can answer that.
I'll tackle it. The one thing I'm going to say is always keep that goal in mind in every single class that you take, and every opportunity you get to add to, like what Amy said about create a Google Doc. And, if you have any kind of idea what you want to write about, then in every class that you do, every paper that you write, every bit of research that you do, gather pieces and don't get rid of them. All right. Because you will use them at some point in time. And at some point you may say, what was that one thing? Oh, I have it right here. And you can go back and find that. So, and develop those relationships, because when it comes right down to it, and Chad will tell you this, and Amy probably as well, your committee when you've decided on your committee and you're working with your committee, you really want to be able to feel like you know who these people are. And there were times when and I was on Chad's committee, there were times that he and I would set up a meeting after the committee meeting, because I could tell that he felt whipped because some of his committee had ideas that didn't really coincide with where he wanted to go. And it's good to have at least one person on your committee who gets you. All right. Because that's going to be the person that, when it feels like everything's going to hell, it's really not. It's just, let's look at it a different way, another viewpoint. So, and Tyrone, you have, if you're brave enough to do this, your wife has an earned doctorate from Ball State in this program too. So you can always say, I need some help here. Help me think through this.
Oh yeah, for sure. She's the main one that's been pushing me to go for it. So
Good.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I just want to be, and maybe this is the type A in me, just want to be very prepared. And it seems like from what I'm hearing, regardless of how prepared you're going to be, it's still going to be an uphill battle. So it was great to just hear from everyone that completed it and the route to, so that I can learn from the things that you're doing and incorporate it into how I go about my business.
Absolutely. And I will tell you one thing that I love about this position that I've been in since, it's not even quite a year yet, since November of being the director. I had always been the one who had students when they first started in the program. I had the first 3 classes that most people took. And then I got to pick up politics, which is a year after that. So now I have 4 classes that I teach. But then I would never know. I would think, whatever happened to this person? I never heard if they finished or not. Now I get to see all the way through, and I enjoy that. And so this for me is kind of like dream job. It's it came close to killing me on occasion this summer, but you know what? We're in the right place and right track and moving ahead. So we're doing well.
I will.
Anything else to add?
There's a good book called The Dissertation Journey, which literally walks you chapter by chapter. And I'm going to tell you that I read it after I got done with my dissertation, which was the stupidest thing I ever did, because I was like, oh, I got caught up in all these other things. That if I would have just read the stinking book, I would have been all right. So it's a cheap buy on Amazon. So I think it's just called The Dissertation Journey. And that does help you along the way.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you. Oh, Erica, go ahead.
Just wondering if there are any like modern, like, I don't know, like the proverbial Gantt chart for for a dissertation organization, like stuff to keep everything organized, like some kind of
Oh, that's a great
Chrome
question.
extension, or I don't know, something that like, chapter organization, like something that's already like framed out. I struggle a lot with I spend a ridiculous amount of time sometimes on formatting, and it has like no value. And it just feels like something that there ought to be tech for this day and age.
Rachel, do you know of anything like that?
Not immediately, but I will think about that. Erica, what I did, now this was a while ago, I actually was able to order, well, like check out some dissertations from the library, like the actual printed book format, not just the digital version of it. And you can order those and they will the library will send them to you wherever you are. And they sent them to me in Japan, surprisingly, from Ball State. But I had like books, dissertation books, and it helped me not look necessarily for content. The content was actually not in any way what I was focusing on, but it was more about the formatting. And
Right.
that really helped me a lot. I am willing to believe that Serena or Dr. Elam have some sort of like initial template of what those tables of contents and the title page look like and those types of areas. But I kind of,
And I would add to what Rachel just said, don't underestimate the ability of AI to help you create something like that.
that's true. That's a great point.
If you have a favorite AI program that you use, then learn how to get it to do what you want it to do. If you don't have a favorite yet, I'm going to recommend one. I use Claude AI, and it is very perceptive. It also allows you to keep going back over and over and over again and asking it to refine things and change things and all that kind of stuff. And so if you want something like that to create for yourself, um, give it a shot. And who knows, it might be something once you finish it, you'll want to share it with somebody else. So,
And thinking about that in like a backwards design idea, if you say, I want to graduate in May, which means I need to defend my dissertation in March, which means I need to initiate my research, and it depends on what type of study
absolutely.
you're doing, but maybe we'll say July to be able to collect data. Like AI may be able to help you create a timeline with that backwards design. That would be really nice to look at. Just a draft template of that would be
And it will
helpful.
also use if you say, I'm in the EdD program at Ball State University, help me do this based on the requirements of Ball State, it will search all those requirements for you and will really be a big help to you in doing that. So that I think would be very valuable.
Yeah, and like I use ChatGPT. They had a qualitative research section, so I would get stuck on something. I just couldn't advance. So I needed just a sentence or two just to get me going again. So I'd say like something like, help me get started back writing here. And then it kind of prompts you to get you going.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of really cool things out there that using AI that can help you. If you think it'll write your dissertation, it won't. but if it can help you stop the writer's block, that's gonna
Absolutely.
be 90% of your battles that you're running into.
Yeah. They had artificial intelligence when I was working on my dissertation. It was when I took that stats class and I convinced myself I understood it. That was as artificial as anything I've ever seen. And Dr. Cadell and I were in the same class. I think it may have been one of the few classes we ever had together. That's when I first met him. Everybody else in the class, literally, it was live class. Everybody else in the class were ed psych majors, and this was at least their third stats course. I felt dumber than dumb, but I passed the course. And sometimes that's finishing. Finishing is in itself a major miracle. So hold on to that.
That's the part I'm at right now with finishing up 2 stats courses and qualitative research course. But yeah, I feel like Wile E. Coyote sometimes, like right before he jumps off the cliff. It's like I'm right on the verge of going into the research and writing part, but I'm just stuck. And that's the part that I'm struggling with right now.
Yep. And so let me tell you something. And Dr. Geese, I don't know if you have had this. I always have weird dreams. I've had for as long as I can remember. I still have dreams where it's the middle of the semester. I haven't ever shown up for class. I haven't submitted a single piece of homework, and I can't figure out what class I'm supposed to be taking. And it's 21 years ago that I got my dissertation finished. You know what? It's one of those things. Just finish it.
I have the same dream, but it goes back when I was at Indiana State University. But I'm always at Indiana State, and I'm always like failing an accounting course or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm never on the campus I recognize. That's probably part of the problem. Okay, and with that, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you so much, all of you who participated. Thank you, Chad and Amy, and Rachel, for your help and support as well. And guys, let's keep going. Let's do this thing. All right, we'll see ya.